For word problems that talk about quadratic functions, meaning they have an x squared in them as their highest degree, then anytime you see the words max or min, that means we're looking for the vertex. Reminder for the vertex, the x piece would be negative b over 2a, and the y piece, you have to sub that fraction into your equation to find the y piece. All right, it's not going to ask for the whole coordinate point. You're going to have to figure out whether it wants you to just give the x piece or the y piece, and you'll use the units of the problem to figure that out. Let's do some examples. A stone is thrown directly upwards from a height of 30 feet with an initial velocity of 60 feet per second. The height in t seconds after it's thrown is given by the s of t equation above. When does the stone reach its maximum height? All right, so before we even discuss the question, let's talk about this. This is my height equation. So overall, this gives me, this whole function is the height. And the height is measured in feet. It doesn't say that actually straight up, but it does tell us all that first sentence is just a bunch of junk to help you come up with this equation, but since they give you the equation in the problem, it really is just junk and useless information. Except that it does mention feet up there, so that gives us the units here. Okay, so this whole equation here is the height equation, and it tells us that we are using feet. It also says t here. Both of these t's are time. Usually that's what t means. And it tells me that time is in seconds. Okay, so instead of x and y here, we have t and s. So instead of x and y, this is my x piece, we have t and s. This is my y piece. Okay, when does the stone reach its maximum height? When is asking for, I should have underlined that in green. When is asking for a time. And it says maximum. So anytime you see maximum and you have a quadratic function, that means find the vertex. That is what we're going to do here. So we need to find the time or the x piece of our vertex. And remember, we do that by saying negative b over 2a. So negative 60 over 2 times negative 16. I multiply across the bottom first because I tend to make careless errors, and then type this into your calculator. I don't think you can do that in your head, but maybe you can. It's a double negative, so this ends up being positive 1.86. And make sure you include units because it's a word problem. Time is measured in seconds. All right, next question. What is the maximum height? So they're saying, what is my height now? Okay, height is this overall equation. So I'm looking for the height, and again, it specifies maximum. It's not giving me any specific number to plug in, but because it says maximum, I'm looking for the vertex. So height is the y part of my vertex. Okay, in order to find the y part of your vertex, you have to sub the x piece into the original equation. Luckily, we already know that the x piece is 1.86. So you need to sub that into the original equation. You probably should include 3 decimal places when you sub it in, just to make sure. I always round to 2 as my final answer, so you should use 3 decimal places when you plug it in, and I will plug it in using my calculator. Not squared. 86.25. Make sure you include units. The height is measured in feet. And that's my final answer. All right, second problem was written by me, so it's a lot shorter. I tried not to give you a ton of extra information. A frog is hopping. Its height, t seconds after it jumps, can be modeled by this equation, and it's measured in inches. All right, so before we even read the questions, let's just talk about what we're given. So they give me this whole equation, and this whole equation is its height after it jumps can be modeled by this equation. So this is the height equation. This is my y piece because it's the whole entire equation. The whole equation is always y. And I tell you immediately after that we are measuring in inches. All right, my input here, my t, is conveniently right above it. It's time, it's your seconds, and so that's your input, or the numbers as part of your equation, not numbers, the letters that are part of your equation, so that's my x piece here. All right, question number 1. What is the maximum height? So they aren't saying when or mentioning time at all. They're saying what. I want you to actually find the height here. So I am looking for the y part. Y part of what? The maximum is our vertex. So I'm looking for the y part of the vertex. Okay. In order to find the y part, you have to find the x part. So this one is a double whammy because you have to do 2 steps. So first I'm going to figure out what my x coordinate is. Remember that is negative b over 2a, so negative 8 over 2 times negative 2. And now that I know that my x value is 2, I can sub that into my equation to figure out what my y value is. If you type that into your calculator, you should get 9. Make sure you include units here, so my height is measured in inches. So my frog can jump 9 inches high. All right, question 2 says, or part B, when will it reach the maximum height? So again, they mentioned max, which means we need to find our vertex. We already found the y piece, so I'm guessing this is going to be the x piece, but also notice it says when, which is implying we're looking for a time here, and time is our x piece. So the x piece of the vertex we already figured out. It is 2. Make sure you include units, and we're done. So in both of these examples, generally you're going to be asked for the x before you're asked for the y. I switched it up in the second example just because I wanted you to not get too much in a rut and always do it that way. Make sure you're reading the question and using your units to help figure out, am I looking for the x or am I looking for the y? Am I looking for the whole entire equation or just the input?